as Institute scholar and a Fox News contributor, and James Rosen is our chief Washington correspondent. Gentlemen, thank you. Two very smart gentlemen to talk about this tonight. I know James reported on it over the weekend, and Marc's been thinking about it today. What does all this tell you, Marc?
Well, there's a number of things that could be going on. Some of them are more generous interpretations than others. So number one, there could really be corruption. I mean, Saudi Arabia has a lot of corruption going on. So this could actually be what it's said to be, which is a corruption crackdown. It also could be that he's clearing out a bunch of rivals. You saw in other countries, like in China, President Xi Jinping has used corruption charges to clear out his rivals in the Chinese Communist Party. And the reality is this is a 32-year-old prince who's allowing women to drive, as you pointed out, who's doing a lot of things, cracking down on extreme clerics, and there's a lot of this is the old guard who are resisting him. So it could be that, or it could also be, quite frankly, a money grab. These are incredibly wealthy people that have been arrested. There's, by some reports, there's $500 billion at stake here in the hands of these quote-unquote corrupt Saudi princes that could go to the Saudi treasury. So this could be simply a matter of consolidating money for a country that's not doing all that well economically right
now. James, you point out that besides sort of being a face of more moderate policy in Saudi Arabia, he is also loosening up some of the religious rules to a certain extent. That's a very big deal.
Yes, this 32-year-old crown prince, Mohammed bin Salman, will, in the not-too-distant future, be the king of Saudi Arabia. His whole family knows that. Everyone in the country knows that. And he's gaining strength. What he's trying to do is diversify the kingdom's economic portfolio away from its historic reliance on oil. And as you say, liberalize its laws on relations between the sexes and on tolerance for other religions. Why? Because these two objectives in turn feed into a third, more overarching plan, which is called the Vision 2030 campaign. It's very ambitious. It's an attempt to position the kingdom in the 21st century, and among its goals is to boost Saudi Arabia's ranking from number 25 on the Global Competitive Index to a slot within the top 10 countries. And what really the Crown Prince is betting here is that demography is destiny. You've got over 100 million people in the Middle East right now who are just around the age of 30. That is an unprecedented youth cohort in the history of the region and the world, and he sees the kingdom's future in a more open brand of Islam.
You know, but that can have repercussions, Marc, as we all know. Osama bin Laden's fervor really began in anger at his own country, that he felt that it was becoming too liberalized and, pulling away from the Wahhabist culture. And that angered him. And so, it built this relationship where the Saudis sort of kept the terrorists, sort of at bay in their own country, and it exploded in ours and in others. Is there going to be a backlash against this prince?
There certainly could be, though the other interpretation of that is, quite frankly, is that the Saudi government had been giving a wink and a nod to the Wahhabi clerics who have been preaching this radicalism. As long as they weren't focused on Saudi Arabia, as long as it was externally focused, then it was okay. And and MBS, as the prince goes by his initials, is cracking down on some of these clerics and saying we're not going to do that anymore. And I think if Saudi Arabia wants to be a modern country and be a part of the modern world, then it has to. It can't give a wink and a nod to Wahhabism anymore.
Gentlemen, thank you. Fascinating.
Thank you.
And there's more to come on that story. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with